The Landmark College LD Luminary Award is given to an individual in the public eye who is committed to raising awareness of the prevalence and seriousness of learning disabilities and learning difficulties. This person has demystified LD by demonstrating that it is not a weakness, but rather an example of how everyone learns and operates differently. A Landmark College LD luminary inspires people outside the Landmark College campus to better understand the struggles faced by students with LD and is in a position to stimulate discussion, motivate action, and educate society about the need to replace a failing one-size-fits-all system and approach with new and progressive educational models. The recipient of tonight's Landmark College LD Luminary Award, actress, activist, and philanthropist Holly Robinson Peete, has done much to destigmatize autism and to help underserved families struggling with financial difficulties because of those challenges. Holly is known for her work as an actress in the original 21 Jump Street, Hangin' with Mr. Cooper, Mike and Molly, and her current show on the OWN network, For Pete's Sake. And personally, Holly, I have really enjoyed watching For Pete's Sake. I think I mentioned it to you upstairs. It really takes some guts for you and Rodney to let those cameras in on your daily family life. It's not only entertaining for us outsiders, but more importantly, for me, it shows just how powerful love, support, parenting, and guidance are in giving young people the confidence and self-esteem they need to succeed in life. The family love and respect you show each other, at least on camera, particularly concerning RJ, your wonderful son on the autism spectrum, is an example for all of us. Through the HollyRod Foundation, Holly and her husband, former USC and NFL quarterback Rodney Peete, provide services and care for families and individuals touched by both autism and Parkinson's disease. Holly recently reflected one of Landmark College's own ideals when she told an interviewer from the Huffington Post that she uses child-first language, not an autistic child, but a child with autism. One of Holly's mantras is, "I wouldn't change my son for the world, but I would change the world for my son." Ladies and gentlemen, the recipient of the Landmark College LD Luminary Award, Holly Robinson Peete.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. As the recipient of this award, I'm happy because, who doesn't like to be celebrated? But as a mom of a special needs son who's 18, I am really full tonight because I didn't know a place like Landmark existed. I consider myself quite a resourceful mom. I always tell other moms, if they don't roll their eyes when they see you come into school, you're not doing your job. Because that means you're not a loud enough squeaky wheel, because we have to advocate for our kids. But I just want to take you back to 1968 when I was 4 years old, and I lived in Philadelphia, and my dad comes to me and says, I got this new job. And I said, what? It's a children's show. And, it takes place in New York. And so I'm going to have to commute from Philly to New York. And it's kind of a cool thing. I said, what kind of children's show is it? Oh, it's, it's like a kids show that takes place on your block. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's different, okay. And he said, yeah, it's called Sesame Street. I was like, well, good luck with that. And maybe last a year or two. So 45 years later, Sesame Street is still around. My dad is not here anymore. He had Parkinson's disease and passed away 13 years ago. And his life and his struggle with Parkinson's led my husband and I to a life of service. And that was a noble thing for us to do, to continue his legacy. He was, by the way, the original Gordon on Sesame Street. So I left that part out. Which was, come on, like you're 4 years old, that's the coolest gig your dad could ever have. I mean, and I wanted to be on the show so badly, but he didn't want me to be one of those showbiz kids. And so I begged and pleaded, and I finally, got to come on. I had one line, and I blew my one line. I was supposed to say, "Hi, Gordon," and of course I kept saying, "Hi, Daddy." And then I got my line taken away from me, but I got to hang out with, Cookie Monster and Big Bird. It was really amazing. He was an amazing guy, and he did his struggle with Parkinson's led us to a life of service. And Rodney and I, we really felt blessed to have this platform to talk about Parkinson's. But then in 2000, when our son, who's a twin, was diagnosed with autism, that was a completely different story. We didn't know what autism was. We didn't know anybody who had it or who had a kid with it. We were completely floored by this diagnosis. My husband went quickly into denial because he had these dreams of Rodney Jr. being, a Heisman Trophy winner and all these dreams he had to bring him to the field with him. And when he would come to the field, RJ would just run around in circles and flap and stem and do all this stuff. And my husband was he couldn't process it. So it was a tough start to our life as a rookie parent, if you will. But eventually, my husband came around because he saw that I rolled up my sleeves and I said, I got to go all in for this kid. And we often talk about my husband being on Denial Street and I was on Whoop Somebody's Butt Avenue. So, because you have to advocate like a crazy person, right? So we eventually found a similar, mutual intersection, and we brought it all back around. But I have to say that, that diagnosis was tough. We, went on to advocate for him and got him immersed in intervention and all those things, and it was a long, difficult road. But we're fortunate that he got language and was able to do some things that we were told he would never do. So fast forward many years, we're now at college time, and his twin sister is going to NYU Tisch in the fall. And that sort of brought back around the whole diagnosis again, because her twin brother, he has nowhere to go. And I didn't know how to process this for him. And I just thought, well, there's nowhere for him to really, really go. He's a year behind her. I held him back. You all understand that. So that's been kind of eating away at us a little bit, because dealing with Ryan, getting her into college and all that. And every now and then he'll come and say, well, am I going to go to college? Is there a college for me to go to? And I really didn't have an answer for him. So about, what was it, 6-7 months ago, I was asked to host an event for my alma mater, Sarah Lawrence College. I'm sitting at a table with one of our most famous alumni, Barbara Walters, and there's Cindy Berger sitting to my right. And Cindy doesn't know, but I'm a little I'm an actress, but I'm like starstruck around like a monster publicist like Cindy, because she's just a beast in the best way. Right? She's so good at what she does, and she's a legendary publicist. So sitting next to her, I was a little intimidated, and I said, Cindy, can I go talk to Barbara? And she said, of course, and we had a great conversation. But then we moved next to each other, and we shared our stories. She talked to me about her son. She talked to me about this place called Landmark College, and what it was, and I just sat there with my mouth open, like I never knew a place like this existed. I'm a resourceful person. I'm that mama bear. I'm out there doing all these things. I did all my research, but I didn't know. And what I want to say is that I'm excited to come visit the campus and experience what you all are doing. And, you know, Chuck, that story about the grandmother talking to her granddaughter was just really touched my heart, because you never hear a story like that about a commencement just getting her through. It shows a sense of community, and I happen to have a really feisty mom who just turned 80 and dyed her hair pink and got a tattoo, but that's another story. And is dating, so I'm in therapy. But besides all that, she is the best grandmother ever. She would be that grandmother yelling out, and we'd all be really embarrassed, like, shh, but she'd be that one. So I'm really curious to learn more about what you're doing, and I commend you for this amazing event. I commend you for the support that you're giving these children who need help, and they're so special, they're so amazing. So as you heard, I'm doing a reality show, which I never thought I would do, called For Pete's Sake. And yes, instead of waking up to say hello to 5 people every morning, we say hello to 35 people. We have cameras in our house, and it's a little bit of a learning curve, but there was something that called me to do it. And when we pitched it to the Oprah Winfrey Network and other places too, but I knew that was the right place because I knew there was a sense of integrity that Oprah has, and she's known our family for a long time. But I wanted to show a family rallying around a young man with autism and what that's like, because you never see that. I think we're the first show ever, a reality or docuseries, where you actually see a family, you know, with a plan and being like Team RJ. And I thought that was an important thing to see. I wanted you to see what it's like for him to get a job. I wanted you to see him having a conversation with his twin sister about how sad he is about her leaving and how his autism makes him sad. So these are things that I think the community doesn't know about our kids with learning differences. They don't know about our kids on the spectrum, or whatever the situation is, they just don't know. So I feel really blessed. It's only aired 4 times, and I'm impressed, very impressed that many of you in the room have actually seen it. I really love that, but I'm really proud to have been able to use this platform to talk about how special our children are. We mentioned that there's an election going on today, and I've had a couple people walk up to me and go, well, you were on Celebrity Apprentice, and you won $600,000. Are you voting for Donald Trump? And I won't go there either. But I will say that, you know, just being in New York on this day, if you'd have told me 6 years ago that the guy I was sitting across from in the boardroom would be, you know, on the ballot, be close to getting that, I would have, you know, said a lot of things. But I can't help but feel a full circle moment, because even though whatever he is and whatever you think of him, I mean, I set records on that show and raised the level of autism awareness just by being on that show. And people say, well, weren't you scared or intimidated by Donald Trump in the boardroom? I said, honey, when you've gone through IEP meetings, you're not scared of anybody. Piece of cake. You guys know what I'm talking about. I was like, a boardroom with Trump? Please, I've had to sue the city. What are you talking about? No, so I just really want to thank you for this honor. Cindy, thank you so much for making that connection with me and bringing to me a piece of information that I think, even if my son, even if it's not a fit for him, I tell you every single day, and especially now that we're on the TV with the show, people hit me by social media, in the street. You know, I want my kid to go to college one day, but doesn't look like it's going to happen. A lot of people need to know about this amazing place, and someone described it as magical tonight. And I'm glad to be able to help you get the word out in any way that I can. So thank you so much, and I appreciate meeting so many of you tonight. And I really would change the world for my son, and I see that there are people in the room that are going to help me do it. So thank you so much.